is a paid political broadcast. The views, information, or opinions expressed in this forum are solely those of the participants of this event and do not represent the views of the management and staff of Radio Cayman.
The Buzz is proudly sponsored by Cayman Insurance Center, specializing in property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services. And Kirk Market. Experience a world of choice. And by Yum. Daily school lunch menus are available to browse on the Yum website. Just visit yumcayman.ky for more info.
And now, Radio Cayman presents The Buzz, an insightful and fresh take on a variety of issues that impact the local environment. This is where we address the topics that matter. Here's your host, Kathy Miller.
Good morning, Cayman. How's everybody doing on this beautiful Thursday morning? It is April 24th. The roads are still a little clear. I guess school's not back in session as yet, so, it only takes me 2 minutes to get into work. I shouldn't really let everybody know that because time is not my greatest virtue here. But we do have somebody coming all the way from Bodden Town, and I'm happy to welcome in studio this morning. We have Bodden Town West incumbent candidate, Mr. Christopher Saunders. How are you doing this morning?
Good morning. I am doing great. It's always great to be here. I love being on Radio Cayman. Radio Cayman is a special place for me also.
Absolutely. It's our first time having a face-to-face interview, and I know we've had it on the phone, and
yes,
you've talked me through some things when I've had to ask you about, I guess, certain bills or motions that you've brought to Parliament and the rest. So I appreciate that you were, for me, always very accessible in the sense that I need to figure something out, and you were like, I'll guide you through this, Kathy. So
yep, no.
Good to have you in studio.
And Kathy's great to be here. And yes, this is our first time officially in person.
Yes. Well, we're just gonna go straight into it, and as I like to start off this, what I call the candidate's corner, I like to usually just get a little bit of a feeling from whether you're an incumbent or a new candidate about what's going on in your constituency. So for the past 4 years for Bodden Town West, could you tell us what your biggest achievements were, and then I want to go to overall in government, specifically in relation to motions and bills presented or passed.
Okay, no, I think overall, one of the biggest achievements for me, I would probably say, would be the people being able to draw their pension from that regards in terms of the amendments we made to the national pension law that allow people to pay off their mortgage, pay down their mortgage, and even in some cases, pay their arrears and strata. One of the things I was also pleased about is that during the first 2 years, we had one of the best, if adjusted for inflation, one of the best economies in terms of economic growth. I think only 2005 was when we were rebuilding after Ivan was better. So if we look at 2002, I think we had like 5.2 or 5.6% real GDP growth, which is the best since, again, as I said, Ivan. And one of the best, I guess, for me was the lowest unemployment rate amongst Caymanians for the past 20 years, where in 2022 we had Cayman unemployment rate of about 3.2%. And one of the things that for me, the best one, if I was to choose one, it's the 1,007 Caymanians that were moved from being unemployed to being employed during that period of time. And that in itself came with its own challenges in the sense that I remember the headline read 10,600 work permits deferred over the last 10 months. And that week in caucus was probably the first time it actually dawned on me that I would not survive the PAC government. I mean, that night, when you go into a room and like there's a meeting before the meeting, it's like this is beat up on Chris night. And I remember when I entered the room, the vibe was a little bit different. And I remember the premier panel at the time opened the floor. And it's like one by one, they just came for the pound of flesh. And that night for me, not every MP, some MPs just remained silent, didn't say anything. But that night for me, 2 MPs stood out. Kenneth Bryan and Bernie Bush. I mean, and I've said this publicly all the time. They literally came out and defended me. And that night I remember going home and I left the PAC caucus. I can show you the WhatsApp chat group, where it says you left. And it took me 1 week shy of 3 months before I returned back to that chat group when Wayne basically came back and added me. Because at that point, every invitation came to rejected. I'm like, And then, Wayne said to me, Chris, you can't be Deputy Premier Minister of Finance and not inside the chat group. 1 week share of 3 months. And the thing about it is, Kathy, and this is what I think this election is going to be about. In Bodden Town West, I was the last candidate to launch, but the first with a manifesto. My manifesto came out before all the 3 political parties. And a reason why I raised that is that while they were out there complaining about the size of my signs and fruitcakes and everything else, I was busy doing my research in terms of what the issues were going to be. And I smile when I see press releases being issued about the pre-election forecasts and all that kind of stuff. When in my manifesto on page, you have a copy there,
Yes,
on page
sir.
8, where I actually spoke about the pre-election forecast in terms of what we narrated back then, where in 2 years we should have had 158 million deficit. That's on page 8, the top of page 8. And we ended up with basically 35 million surplus, basically beating the overall pre-election forecast by 193 million in 2 years. I guess I should have included that as one of the achievements too. But for me, that would have been a given. You know what I mean? But that came about at putting in very draconian measures to some extent, where any expenses above $5,000 had to be approved by a minister. I mean, outside of the contractual, your light bill and that kind of stuff, because we wanted to rein in spending, but we also wanted to make sure where we're spending money, it's in areas that either A, generate revenues, or B, improve the quality of people's lives. Of course, you tick a lot of people off when you put in that kind of draconian measures, but when you beat the pre-election forecast by 193 million in 2 years, you can then say at least the end justifies the means. But one of the main things that I really want to touch on this morning, that is what this election is going to be about. And as I'm going door to door now and speaking to people, and people keep asking me, Chris, who are you lying with? Why aren't you a party and this and that? That has been the biggest issue. Now, ironically enough, a group of independents are actually meeting this morning at 10 a.m. Several of us, going through certain things ahead of next week. So, because we don't want a repeat of what the country went through the last time. So, they are a collective group of us. So, when the time comes, we have an idea who's going to be getting what, who's going to be going where. So, we should I'm confident enough to say that by Thursday after the next election, a press release can be issued in terms of what the government is, in terms of the talks that have already been taking place. So I'm almost confident to some extent that I would say 100% sure. Well, maybe 100% is a little bit too much, but we have an idea who's going to get elected and so forth. So we're having that meeting to finalize that, to make sure that we don't have that level of uncertainty that we did the last time. But one of the things that I really want to touch on, which is important to this campaign, and it's one of the things that I get the most to some extent when I'm going door to door, is who you're aligned with and everything else. And I chose to remain as an independent for a simple reason. When you look at the headline on page, because we put some newspaper clippings inside the manifesto on page 12, that 10,600 work permits deferred over the last 10 months, and then you see where cabinet repeals requirement for temp jobs to be advertised, and all of that kind of stuff. One thing I've always been conscious of now is where financing of politicians come from, where financing of parties come from. Every election cycle, people talk about education reform, immigration reform, healthcare reform, pension reform. The one thing that no one ever speaks about, which is the one reform that influences all those other reforms, is campaign finance reform. And this is the reason why so many things don't get done in this country. When you hear me talk about the special interest group, and I have lived it, I've seen it. When I went to my board chairman and I can say to them, listen, no new grants. If you see where you can't stop it, defer it. We have over 3,000 Caymanians that's on stipend. They're unemployed. I'm not giving away the jobs. If it's a renewal, fine. The folks are already on island. They need to feed their families. No issues with renewals at that point. But grants, no new grants. I could say that confidently without saying, well, except this company, this company, this company, and that company, because I was beholden to nobody. And when I see guys, I remember when Premier Panton opened the floor and started complaining about, one company couldn't get work permits or this or that. And I said to him, what's the name of the company? Who's the company? Oh, I can't tell you. I said, for what? Oh, fear of victimization and this. And I'm like, hold on, back up. You're bringing a complaint to me, but you can't tell me who it is that's complaining. And the one thing I remember that night that I used to shut them up, and I asked the question, I said, colleagues, do you know how many companies have been fined by work for immigration breaches? Do you guys have the hundreds of companies? And I want to say to one member inside there, I don't want to say it. I said, by the way, one of the companies you own is actually on that list too. I said, do you honestly expect that once we catch you, basically denying Cayman opportunities, you really and truly think that we're not going to put you on a red list, that every single thing that you now submit we're going to not look at? Mm-hmm. You really think we could catch you, fine you? We're talking about hundreds of companies that we have fined in the past for not giving Cayman opportunities. And I said to them, the next time, if you all come and complain to me about this again, that list is going to end up on some of the windshield. And they all went quiet. They left me alone at that point. And the only reason I can tell I didn't publish that list is because some of the companies on it I knew genuinely was administrative errors where, yeah, they got fined, but it was a genuine mistake. And what I didn't want was to mix up some of those companies who had an error. I mean, call it for what it is. They made a mistake. It was not deliberate. And they accepted that they got caught and they paid their fine. It would have been unfair to have been turned around and published those companies. But there were some of them that was outright, downright unscrupulous and were denying Cayman opportunities. And if I'd watched the list in the sense of going through and picking out those who were genuine from that, I would have just probably, if they had come again complaining to me, I would have just leaked it from that. That's the only thing that shut them up. And especially when I said to one senior cabinet member, you can figure that out, one of your companies is on the list. So you can't go out and do this. You can't have immigration reform without campaigning for finance reform, because when you're putting your foot down, we don't have a problem with immigration laws in this country now. What we have a problem with is enforcement. That's where the problem is. And you can't enforce the laws against the very people who are financing politicians. Because that is when, and I can tell you, I look at my the achievement that we had in pension. That was done after I left the government. I was no longer minister. I was the minister for pension. Could I get that legislation passed when I was minister? No. Because there were, again, people inside there that I can tell you were financed by people who were in that kind of industry. Mm-hmm. And it kind of just got shut down. You couldn't get consensus in your own group. Well, it's not a good time, and, just had the COVID withdrawals and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, okay. When I left the government, I filed a private member's motion. And I said to them, now I dare you to repeat in public what you tell me in private. Tell the people why you can't give them their money now. Tell them why the pension is losing money, but yet interest rates are going up. Why they're basically getting messed up twice. Say to them now, the motion passed unanimously. And the thing about it is, I remember that day, that motion was on the verge of actually failing. And Kenneth Bryan was traveling as Minister of Tourism. Kenneth came in the same day. And Kenneth came straight to Parliament, just like about maybe an hour before the vote. And Kenneth just said to his colleagues, are you guys crazy? You guys really not going to approve this? And I can tell you, if it was not for Kenneth Bryan, intervention at that time, flying in on that day, and saying to his colleagues in the PAC government then, guys, we need to do this, that motion itself would have failed. And, I'm going to share this. This is a part of politics that sometimes the public don't like, but in the interest of transparency, I'm going to basically share this story. When they had the no confidence vote against Premier Panton at the time, when the government was falling apart, I abstained from voting for him.
Why?
And that's what I was going to tell you.
Okay.
No, at that point, politics being what it is, the motion already had passed for the pension, but the other side of what people don't realize that even after Parliament passes something, the cabinet still has to bring the law into effect.
Right.
Now, I know that there are still people in the government that did not want to do the pension. So Kenneth came to me, and Kenneth being a politician, he says, Chris, are you going to vote? I said, Kenneth, what you guys have for me? So Kenneth, Wayne, and I had a meeting. And I'm telling you as it is. And I said, listen, this is what it is I want for abstain. This is what my abstain vote will cost. You know what I mean? I wanted something with my civil servants, and I wanted my pension going through. So even though Parliament had passed it, Cabinet still, the Premier still had the power to even not put it on the agenda for the law to come into effect. You know what I mean? So that's the other part of it. So I said, if I can get these things, and then and there's some other things there, I will abstain. Kenneth look at Wayne, he's like, Premier, you okay with that? He's like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm like, okay, cool. The night after I abstained, I was getting calls. People are cussing me and everything else. No. Would I have liked to have got up that day and say what I really wanted to say, about during the confidence vote? Absolutely. But I was going to risk my legislation and the other stuff that I wanted not going through. So those very same people, after I got what it is I wanted, I pick up at the phone, call those same people and say, by the way, you cursed me out the night. Here's the deal that I made. Here's what went through. Now, the thing about it is this. When we had met the night, I remember going home the night and getting a call. They were basically going to ask me to resign. I went to the meeting, and this is where I have max respect for Premier Juliana, because the deal that I made was made with Wayne. And I'm like, hold on, the backup. I already abstained from this man. You all going to get rid of this man now. I need these things to go through. You know what I mean? And in fairness to Premier O'Connor Connolly, she honored the agreement. She didn't have to. She honored it. And that's why I have mad respect for her in that regard. And the thing about it is, Kathy, in politics, one of the things that people never get credit for is the stuff that they stop.
Right.
People never, when stuff can go off the bat, and I look at people complaining about even the government finances. People fail to realize that one of the reasons why they got rid of Wayne was the country at the risk of not having a budget.
I remember that as well.
Yeah, no, if it was not for Premier O'Connell, well, back then, her intervention, the country would not have a budget. And the thing about it is this. I remember there was this thing that the Compass had reached out to me for. I think it was Reshma from the Compass. And basically was asking, a look on government finances. And most people fail to realize, if you go back and you look at the quarterly reports that comes out, the 6 months prior to Ms. Julie taking off, that is when the government finances came off the rails. It wasn't under her watch. I can tell you, if you look at the amount of cash and U.S. securities we had at March 31, 2023, and then you go look at September 30th, 2023, those 6 months, and you see exactly how much cash we burnt through. I mean, I can send you an analysis because I sent it to
I just want to interject there. You resigned as Minister of Finance, Economic Development and Labor in March 2023.
Yeah, and, early March. I think it was early March, yeah. And from that standpoint, but March 31, we had cash in U.S. securities because people complain about the debt that we had. But we went out, we borrowed money at the time, the money was approved in the previous government. And we look at the interest rate, then we're like, 3.25%. And then you look at U.S. Treasuries, what they were trading at, we're like, wait a minute. We can take this money and go buy U.S. Treasuries, which is exactly what we did. So in other words, the debt that we had was actually almost self-financing because we were able to go out and literally buy U.S. Treasury for about the same amount. And then U.S. Treasuries that started going up. Because at one point, U.S. Treasuries had reached like about, I think, 4.7, 4.8%. So you can imagine you borrowing money at 3.25% and then having the ability to invest it in instruments that were actually paying more. You know what I mean? And for us, it was a matter of when to jump into, because I wanted to jump in a little bit later where we could have maxed out. Some of those guys is like, you have this cash sitting on for so long, we need to do something with it. And I'm like, we can wait a little bit. But then, being part of a group, you just have to, take the licks.
Right, go with consensus.
So we had the securities, we had the cash. Within that 6 months, all them securities were sold. We had a burn of about 80 million we had burnt through. When you look at government deficit during that time and everything else, I can send an analysis because I
need to interject because December 2023 is when that next budget address that came out that Premier O'Connor Connolly delivered, right? And that was when we were supposed to be in the surplus. There was the forecasted surplus of 54 million or approximately. So now in these past 2 years, it's been an 80 million kind of switch over because now we're at a 26 million deficit, so that went about 80. So in saying this, you said that we did burn through the finances really quick from like March to September 2023.
Cash, we burned through cash. Yeah.
Through cash. So is there a scenario where just as quick it can flip around? Because there's been a lot of finger pointing in who's burnt through this cash, right?
No, I can tell you, short answer is yes, it can be turned around. And I can say to people confidently, if I'm a minister in the next government, which I'm hoping all goes well next week, I can literally say to the Cayman Island people at this point that there will not be a deficit for this year. I can confidently say that. You know what I mean? And the reason being is, you go back, we were supposed to have a 98 million deficit in 2021. We had an 18 million deficit, so we beat 2021 by 80 million. And in 2022, we were supposed to have a $60 million deficit. We actually had a surplus of 53 million. So I can say to you that it can be done because we have done it in the past.
Okay.
Where we have beaten the forecast by 193 million. And like I said, you tick off a lot of people during that process, but it had to be done. I mean, I had civil servants coming to me, Minister, I can't find a minister, you know what I mean? And this stuff needs to be done. I'm like, trust me, if the minister wants it to be done, the minister will be there to sign off on it. So we were able to rein in, because there is also a culture that once funds are approved, that it needs to be spent. You know what I mean? And for me, as Minister of Finance, I started up just by saying no. I give a good example. Take the LFT report that they like to talk about, that the Auditor General, slapped me on the wrist for. What most people don't realize, was a legitimate purchase order issued by the government? Yes, it was. No, that purchase order was issued by the Ministry of Health. The Ministry of Health then came to me to say, well, we want you to transfer the funds to pay for it. When we were presented first that the purchase order was going to be issued, it was supposed to go to Crown Agents, which was the company that did a lot of good work for us during COVID. And then we were like, okay, fine. They came to Cabinet, we're ordering these LFTs, and we're giving it to Crown Agents. We're like, okay, fine. Then, when the transfer came over to transfer the funds, it wasn't going to Crown Agents. I'm like, hold on, back up. Where's this money going? Oh, it's going to a local company. So I said to a senior civil servant, do me a favor, find out who owns that company for me. And when there's a company incorporated and everything. And based on that, the company came back. It was actually owned by the business partner of a senior cabinet member. And I'm like, oh, hell no. It did not go through a competitive process. It was literally a single source. The Central Procurement Office didn't look at it. The committee didn't look at it. I'm like, wait a minute. You want me to transfer money to you to pay an invoice that you issued to a company that is owned by the business partner of a senior cabinet member? Oh, no, Bobo.
That sounds like a big conflict.
Chris not doing that. No. The Auditor General is right, because it was a legitimate purchase order, and I'm not going to tell anybody. Ministries have the ability to issue purchase order. No, but what the public don't realize is that when we go to Finance Committee, the appropriation is to the minister. I am the person, since the money was appropriated to me, that I have to give an account for where that money went. And if anyone think that I was going to give an account for money that I was going to transfer to the Ministry of Health to pay an invoice that they issued that did not go through a competitive process to a company that was where the business was owned, where the person's the majority shareholder is the business partner of another thing there is no way. No, the only thing that I did was I said, you know what? This gentleman was probably innocent of what is going on in government. I pick up the phone. We discussed it in caucus at the time. And I said, guys, I'm not doing this. And someone said to me, Chris, at a minimum, since this person has a government purchase order that they think is legitimate, what you don't want them to do is go out and go incur costs and then basically find out the government is going to pay them. And I say, you know what, you're right. Because it's still a Cayman and we don't want to mess them over. So I pick up the phone, I call him up, I'm like, bro, here's the situation. I ain't transferring this money. This is the reason why. And at the time, he's like, oh, you're right. I can see where you're coming from. Then half hour later, he called me back. He changes his mind. well, we got this legitimate order. We expect you guys to follow it. I'm like, I tell you right now, you ain't getting the money. And if you do get it, it ain't coming from me.
Mm-hmm.
And the question the public need to ask is, if I didn't transfer the money, where did the Ministry of Health find the money from to pay it? That's the question that they really need to ask. What service was actually sacrificed to the Caymanian public from a health standpoint to find that US 1.6 million to basically pay that invoice, because it did not come from the Ministry of Finance,
We almost have to end on that note because I missed the commercial break, so I got to go to commercial break at least a minute before 8. But in saying that, I'm going to give you a minute if you have any final points that you want to say.
Yeah, the one
time flew by.
The one thing I want to say to the public is this. Since Elon Musk went on to spend a whole pile of money to get Trump elected, all of these rich people to believe that elections are for sale. Ask yourself this question: where is this money coming from? Who in corporate came and they went out and get all of this money from? And then honestly think that they'll be able to do what they want to do, especially on immigration, especially on pension, especially on labor, especially on healthcare, when the very people that we need to take on that's causing all of this stress, that's causing all of these struggles to many Caymanians, they're the ones financing the politicians. And the last point I want to make is this. Look at the main financiers of two political parties who are very rich, have become very rich under the current system, and ask yourself the question, do you think these guys really want to change the system that made them very rich and continue to be rich? This is what this election is about. Thanks very much, Kathy.
Thank you. And it brings me to a point that I had a former guest say to me, if you can be bought, you can also be sold.
Exactly.
So I want to know, we do have the manifesto here. I have it in hands. If people want to get your manifesto, or if you have any meetings going on before Election Day, let people know now.
Meetings cost money. I'm door to door. I don't got the deep pockets that these guys have.
Understand. And where we can get your manifesto from?
Well, everyone, 926-2804, I can WhatsApp it to anyone who wants it, but I know everybody in Bodden Town West will get a copy. Okay. Because like I said, we're going door to door.
Excellent. All right. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. I appreciate having you on. We're going to go to our very late commercial break and then the 8 a.m. headline news.
Hey, Cayman parents, we get it. You're underslept, over-trafficked, you can barely find your sanity in the morning because you're still trying to find your kids' shoes and lunch boxes. Let Yum take some of the stress away. Every day, over 3,000 students enjoy delicious, nutritious meals from Yum. Over 5 million lunches served and counting. Private school parents, browse the Yum Cayman app and order up to a month in advance or last minute by 12 a.m. the night before. Government school students, just drop by the Yum canteen. No pre-orders needed. Yum can't help you find your sanity, but we can sure make your mornings just a bit easier. Check out daily menus at myschoolpos.com or visit yumcayman.ky to learn more.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
The voice of the Cayman Islands.
89.9 FM in Grand Cayman and 93.9 FM in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman.
Silver wings shining in the sunlight.
Radio Cayman.
Studio time by Foster's is 8:01.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com.
For today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
With your latest news, I'm Carsley Fuller. A man is found guilty of causing fear or provocation of violence in absentia after failing to appear for a trial in summary court on Wednesday. Radio Cayman's Jevi Ebanks brings us this report.
Franklin McField, charged in 2024 with causing fear or provocation of violence, possessing ganja and consuming ganja, failed to appear before Magistrate McFarlane on Wednesday, prompting the trial to proceed in his absence. Senior Crown Counsel Kenneth Ferguson presented evidence that McField had threatened a man at a local bar, claiming that he would retrieve a gun from his car and shoot him. McField told police later that his actions were provoked by the complainant. Magistrate McFarlane dismissed McField's account, deeming the complainant's testimony impeccably reliable. She also noted that McField's admission of guilt for the lesser charges during his police interview. A warrant for McField's arrest has been stayed until next week, when he's expected to appear for a sentencing date. Jevi Ebanks, Radio Cayman News.
It's official. Year 6 students at Red Bay Primary School will have a new home after the Easter break. Radio Cayman's April Cummings has more.
This is the opening of our new classrooms.
10-year-old Cavani Hill did not seem to mind having to come to school on his vacation for the official handover ceremony.
It's really nice. It's better than the other classrooms that we usually had.
Teachers and support staff came in over the holiday to ensure 3 new classrooms would be ready to go as a small group of dignitaries stopped in to celebrate the big day. Premier and Education Minister, the Honourable Juliana O'Connor-Conley.
Our young people from generation to generation can come in these classrooms well built, modern, all the technology that they need. The walls well decorated with educational things that every child here can have something they can gravitate to. And just to see the look on their faces is very gratifying.
Acting Deputy Chief Officer Elroy Brian Watler tells Radio Cayman these new spaces extend the opportunity for students to have enhanced and improved learning opportunities.
You're going to actually have the addition of the IT, or as we look at STEM or STEAM, we now have the addition of all the new smart boards in there, which is more interactive. There's more classroom space, so that's going to allow the students to have more additional room for them to look at having either group projects or sometimes if they need to work in separate areas individually.
I feel really good. I've been looking for this day all the time that I've been in Red Bay.
April Cummings, Radio Cayman News.
Now with the check of international news, here's the BBC, which takes us out of the newscast. I'm Carsley Fuller.
BBC News, I'm John Shea. Pakistan says it'll regard any attempt by India to limit its water supply as an act of war. Tensions between the two rivals are mounting following the killing of Indian tourists on Tuesday. Delhi has blamed Islamabad for the attack. President Zelensky has called on the US to put more pressure on Russia, insisting this was the best way to achieve a peace deal for Ukraine. Mr. Zelensky spoke as he cut short a visit to South Africa after 9 people were killed in Kiev by Russian drones and missiles overnight. A former Russian commander who criticised the way the top military were conducting the war has been found guilty of fraud. General Ivan Popov was sentenced to 5 years in prison for stealing $1.5 million worth of metal intended for fortifications. Poland says work has begun in western Ukraine to exhume bodies of Poles killed by Ukrainian partisans during the Second World War. Tens of thousands of the minority Polish population living in the Volhynia area were massacred. The international peace envoy for Bosnia says he's halting all budget allocations for the party of the secessionist Bosnian Serb leader Milorad Dodik, following his latest standoff with police. An attempt to seize him from an official building in Sarajevo was foiled by Bosnian Serb police. The main opposition party in Tanzania says 2 of its officials have been arrested for trying to attend a court hearing for their leader. Tundu Lissu has been charged with treason. The US has criticised as harmful and dangerous policies aimed at phasing out fossil fuels completely. Addressing a London conference, a US energy official said efforts to halt global warming were restricting energy supplies. And China says it'll lend lunar samples to 7 foreign universities for scientific research. These include 2 American institutions. It comes amid growing tensions between Beijing and Washington over tariffs. BBC News.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com.
Now, more than ever, supporting your immune system is crucial to helping your body fight off illnesses like the common cold, the flu, and COVID-19. At ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road and in Bodden Town, we carry all the essential vitamins and minerals to help support your immune system and improve your overall health. Some of our top immunity support picks are vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, elderberry, and quercetin are the popular 7-in-1 immunity support. Our pharmacists are always on hand to help guide you and answer any questions. Visit ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road or Bodden Town. Live happy, live healthy with ValueMed Pharmacy.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman with the latest up-to-date, accurate news and information. For your convenience, the headline news will be repeated on our sister station, Breeze 105.3 FM, weekdays at 8:30 a.m. Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or download the Radio Cayman app in the App Store or log on to www.radiocayman.gov.ky and stay connected to what's happening in the community. Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
Change is in the bag at Foster's. We've taken an important step in our commitment to a cleaner, greener Cayman by removing single-use plastic bags from our checkouts. Bag for better with our durable, cost-effective, reusable bags, thoughtfully designed to help reduce plastic waste and protect the natural beauty of our islands. By choosing reusable and using it often, you become part of the bigger picture, a community-driven effort to reduce waste and care for our environment. Every small choice adds up to something greater. So bring your bags back and we'll make a real impact together. Foster's, better because we care.
I'm Michael Webster.
And I'm Denise Brown of Cayman Insurance Center.
Family is not the most important thing, it's everything.
We have worked with the community and their families on protecting themselves for the future.
Whether it's providing top-rated life insurance
or protecting your family's household investment.
From our family to yours, we understand and we care.
I'm Denise Brown. Call me at 814-7229.
And I'm Michael Webster at 925-5433.
We are Cayman Insurance Center,
specializing in property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services at an affordable rate. We are Michael and
Denise at Cayman Insurance Center.
Call today.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. The Cayman Islands, He hath founded it upon the seas.
Thomas Abraham Ebanks, 1882 through 1964. Mr. Abram is regarded as one of the patriarchs of West Bay. He started his life as a seaman and was miraculously saved during a storm that hit the Cayman Islands. Later in his seafaring career, he captained a mail boat which plied between Fort Myers and Okeechobee, Florida. Mr. Abram also pioneered the captive rearing of green turtles in Newtown or Governor Sound. Later in life, he started a small store. To augment his income, he became the collector of taxes in West Bay. When the government discontinued the discharge of cargo at West Bay, Mr. Abram was made the assistant warehouse keeper in Georgetown. His greatest contribution to the district was as an elder of the West Bay Presbyterian Church. Over the years, he influenced many young people to follow the straight path by his sermonettes and by his own example.
Radio Cayman's Historical Vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
Since 1993, Rotary Central has worked diligently each year to provide quality bus shelters to our community. A traveling convenience to our school children, the elderly, young people going to work, guest workers, and visitors using the public bus. We, Rotary Central, help you, our advertisers, make it happen. Your marketing dollar travels a far way. Positioning your message, your product, your services, your presence in over 83 bus shelters. Every dollar you spend, every advert you place helps to build another bus shelter, providing modest comfort for Cayman travelers. Reserve space now on the only billboard medium in the Cayman Islands. Email rotaryshelters@gmail.com. rotaryshelters@gmail.com. The Bus Shelters, a partner in community convenience. Another inspiration program by Rotary Central Cayman Islands.
Are you a creator or inventor? Want to legally protect your work? Be known for it? How about make money from it? Wouldn't that be awesome? Cayman is celebrating intellectual property this month, leading up to World Intellectual Property Day on April 26th. But don't wait to join the celebration. Learn how to get your patent, trademark, design, or copyright registered today by visiting the Cayman Islands Intellectual Property Office website at CIIPO.ky.
You're good looking. You have class.
I never see a good-looking girl starve yet.
Mr. Gus,
It's true, girl. If you don't use the looks you have, then what else you going to use?
Mr. Gus!
Elite Productions presents The Rose Slip, a powerful comedic drama about finding hope when love falls apart. Directed by Leslie Ann Bernard, starring Michael McLaughlin, Wendy Miller, Zosha McGregor, Ivana Martinez, and more. 3 nights, one unforgettable journey, April 25th to 27th at Hartwell Theatre. Tickets available at ticketsplus.ky.
The 8 a.m. weather update brought to you by
CG Britcay, where people come first.
Good morning. Let's take a look at the latest weather report. Current temperature is 81 degrees. Relative humidity is 76%. The barometric pressure is 29.96 inches and rising. The wind is east-northeast at 10 knots. Overnight low temperature was 77 degrees. Synopses indicate light to moderate winds and seas will prevail across the Cayman area through the next 24 hours as a ridge of high pressure continues to weaken across the northwest Caribbean. Radar images show a few showers drifting towards the west. Now the forecast for the Cayman Islands for today, calling for partly sunny skies with a 20% chance of showers, and temperatures will rise to the mid-80s with a heat index near 92 degrees Fahrenheit. Your winds will be east to northeast at 10 to 15 knots, and seas will be slight to moderate with wave heights of 2 to 4 feet. Tonight, mainly fair skies with a 20% chance of showers, and temperatures will fall near the mid to upper 70s tonight. Your winds will be east to northeast at 5 to 10 knots, and seas will be slight to moderate with wave heights of 2 to 4 feet. Low tide will be this afternoon at 1:16, high tide tonight at 7:36. The sun will set this evening at 6:44 and will rise tomorrow morning at a minute after 6. And the outlook is calling for similar weather conditions through Sunday.
Mommy, why can't dogs talk? Why do I have to go to school and you don't? Why do you sing in the morning when you're bad at it? Why don't you brush your teeth when you take me to school? Why doesn't it ever snow here? Why does Daddy take the bus to work? Why are trees so tall? Why don't you tell me where babies come from? Mommy, Mommy, Mommy!
We're like a kid that doesn't ask a million questions before noon. CG Britcay. Good like that.
The 8 a.m. weather update brought to you by
CG Britcay, where people come first.
The Ministry of Youth, Sports and Heritage invites you to take part in Emancipation Day 2025, a week of meaningful events happening May 2nd through May 11th across the Cayman Islands. This year's theme, Unity, Strengthening Our Legacy, is a call for reflection, pride, and community, from cultural celebrations and historic tributes to church services and panel discussions. There's something for everyone. Don't miss the Emancipation Day commemoration on Monday, May 5th, and be a part of this important moment in our national story. Follow at MYSCH_Cayman on Instagram or visit www.gov.ky/YSCH for the full schedule. Let's honor our past and shape our future together.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Enjoy a delicious start to your day with breakfast from Subway.
Good morning. Let's take a look this time at what's happening on our roads. Coming from the east, moderate flow of traffic on Shamrock Road. Also on the Lifford Pearson Highway. There's slow-moving traffic on Crew Road heading to Georgetown. Slight delays expected. Edward Street is flowing light to moderate into Georgetown on Shedmore, looking pretty good as well. From the Westway 4-way, start moderate flow of traffic, as well as on the Westway Road and from the Ritz in both directions. Godfrey Nixon Way and Eastern Avenue flowing moderately. And as we turn our attention to Industrial Park area, traffic is moving along moderately, and steady bit flowing traffic on North Sound Road, coming off of the Esther Tibbetts Highway, moderate flow of traffic. But that's what's happening on your roads. Join us again at about 10 minutes past 12. We'll give you another look at traffic. Have a good morning and drive safe.
Hungry? Need Subway any time of the day?
Yeah.
We've got you covered. Subway at Anderson Square, Centennial Towers, and Countryside Shopping Village is open 24/7, serving up fresh, delicious subs anytime you need them. And for your weekend cravings, West Shore Center is also open 24 hours on Friday nights and until 1 a.m. on Saturdays, because it's never too late for a great meal. Skip the line and order ahead with the Subway Cayman Islands app, or get your favorites delivered straight to your door with Bento and Let's Eat. Fresh, fast, and always here when you need us. Subway, eat fresh.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Enjoy a delicious start to your day with breakfast from Subway.
Since 1993, Rotary Central has worked diligently each year to provide quality bus shelters to our community, a traveling convenience to our school children, the elderly, young people going to work, guest workers, and visitors using the public bus. We, Rotary Central, help you, our advertisers, make it happen. Your marketing dollar travels a far way, positioning your message, your product, your services, your presence in over 83 bus shelters. Every dollar you spend, every advert you place helps to build another bus shelter, providing modest comfort for Cayman travelers. Reserve space now on the only billboard medium in the Cayman Islands. Email rotaryshelters@gmail.com. rotaryshelters@gmail.com. The Bus Shelters, a partner in community convenience. Another inspiration program by Rotary Central Cayman Islands.
I hope you're ready for change, because I know I am. Cayman ranking! Ah, yeah! Foot! Born and raised, Cayman strong. Northward roots where I belong. Cayman ranking is the way to vote. Ranking! Cayman ranking! We need. Ranking! For Cayman ranking! We need. Ranking is the medicine that Cayman needs right now. That Cayman needs right now. Ranking! Cayman ranking! Ranking! The future of Bodden Town West is in your hands. The time for change is now.
The proceeding was a paid political message from candidate Heyman Rankin.
The new KFC nuggets have arrived. That unlike the no-gets. Ours are handmade using 100% white meat, unlike the no-gets. At KFC, we hand-bread every day to achieve the perfect flavor. After you try our delicious and crispy nuggets in the original recipe, you'll never settle for less. KFC, the real nuggets. It's finger-licking good.
I want to grow up swimming with turtles and playing on clean beaches. But when people litter, it hurts our Cayman. Please help us keep our home beautiful, for me and for the future. Our power, our planet. Don't litter.
The following is a paid political broadcast. The views, information, or opinions expressed in this forum are solely those of the participants of this event and do not represent the views of the management and staff of Radio Cayman.
Welcome back to The Buzz. I am your host, Kathy Miller. And I thought I was going to hear my little buzz music coming in, but no, that's all right. I'm not going to complain too much. So we are welcoming in studio, or I should say I know I have 12 personalities sometimes, but right now it's just me, my one, Kathy Miller. I'm welcoming in studio. It's the impartial one. It's the talk show host one. I'm welcoming in the studio from the Cayman Islands National Party. We have candidate for Georgetown East, Mr. Bud Johnson. Good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning, Kathy. I'm doing very well, thank you. A little bit tired from all the road work, but I'm enjoying it. Thoroughly enjoying it.
I completely understand that. I haven't even been on the road like you guys have, but being in studio, doing enough at work, helping whatever we got to do for elections and getting all the info out it's been a lot on our part. So.
Yeah, good.
Aside from me, I want to talk about you and basically what motivated you to run in general elections. I'm sure you've been asked this plenty of times.
Yes. And well, let me give with who I am. Everybody knows me as Bud Johnson. My name is actually Vassel Godfrey Johnson Jr. Mm-hmm. And because of that fact, I never thought I'd be running in politics.
Why?
Well, I respect my father's legacy.
Yeah.
And I didn't want in any fashion to taint that in any way. But I've lived my whole life in Cayman. Except for 4 years when I was away in college in the United States. When I came back in 1982, I took a job in the bank because Bank of Nova Scotia, I worked there for 4 years. Realized that I wasn't going to be happy. I was single, not necessarily free. And I basically took off my necktie and my long sleeve shirt, put on a pair of shorts, and went to the place that I enjoy most, which is the sea. Worked for Atlantic Submarines for 34 years. 27 of those I managed the business right up until when we shut the borders for COVID. After sitting and looking at it for about 2 weeks, we made a fairly quick decision, mostly driven by me, that I wasn't going to continue investing in it, that it without an exit window of time. And so we shut the business down. And I've been happily retired for 4 years. Right up until, well, I've also been watching this cycle of politics. I've always been an independent voter. Was always a bit skeptical about the parties. And up until, the single member constituencies, and up to the last election, 2021, I voted independent. And I don't know whether to say I'm sad I did or happy I did, because what we got in the form of a government of trying to have independents run together, I left in my opinion, the state of politics in the country in a sad position. And I still didn't intend to run, but in early January, Dan Scott and Gary Ruddy and Craig Merren approached me to join them in their party to run. And after I looked at, I still had a lot of questions. It wasn't an easy decision, and I grilled them for quite a long time. My wife Sheila was with me throughout, and the way they funded the party and the way they were choosing candidates, I said, if there was ever time that I felt the country needed someone like myself to step into the arena and have a party I would run with, it was this one. And so I always joke with those guys, Gary, Dan, and Craig, that you guys had 18 months to make the decision and you gave me 7 days. Come on, guys. But I stepped in and I don't regret it. It's been a great team. We've got, I'm the oldest of the lot. I'm the old man in the group, not Dan is me. And we've got a 26-year-old, 28-year-old Jordan Rivers from West Bay running, and it is quite a diverse group of both age-wise and skill set-wise and experience-wise. It really does. I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and I think we'll make a good government when we get elected.
Now, usually I don't like how this question is framed when people say, well, what do you bring to the table? But in that sense of your experience, if you were to be elected, if there was a ministry that you could choose from or that you'd like to have, what do you think it would be, and what skills do you think that would qualify you for that position?
That's an easy question to answer. And I'll, 34 years in the tourism business, 27 as general manager, in which I dealt both with cruise lines and with hotel stay over guests. I mean, I've sat in the cruise line offices in Miami across the table from shore excursion managers negotiating. I've been there, won some and I've lost some. Mm-hmm. I understand that aspect of it. I think my extensive senior management experience gives me the sense of knowing when to walk away and knowing when to fight through. I've had to make tough decisions. I walked away from my investment in the business when I closed it down, but I thought it was the best for everybody concerned at the time. And I'm not avoiding your question, I'm coming around to it. A lot of people say, oh, you want tourism. I think that could be the worst choice for me.
Oh, I'm surprised. I thought you were going to go with tourism. Okay.
No, I think it'll be the worst choice for me, because I'm probably going to go into the tourism department or the ministry thinking I know more than I do. The government has professionals in each of their departments. They're the ones with the expertise, right? If the party has a particular direction we want to take, we as ministers need to be going in there and saying, okay, you guys are the professional. This is a direction we think we should be taking the country. You tell us how you think we can most efficiently get there. I think ministers need to be more leaders and less managers in how they approach it. Now, it's one of the, and that comes from many years of making many mistakes in my management time with Atlantis. I remember an employee once, and using an analogy from the Marine, it was a manager that was reporting to me, and we were dealing with a certain issue, a human resources issue. He said, "Bud, you can't push a rope. You've got to pull it." Yes. And it's an analogy that stuck. But I there's certain ministries I can say that I don't feel I'd be able to take on, but most of the rest, because of the professionals that are hired into the civil service, I'm not going to think that I know more about tourism than Rosa Harris.
Understandable.
That'd be silly, right? I need, if I want to go do something, I'd go to her. And similarly, you take any of the departments. Those guys have been there for a number of years. They understand how the workings of government are. They understand how the different entities work, and they're the ones you'd have to rely on to get it done.
But you have a leadership quality too.
I think it's a leadership quality and the acknowledgement that I tell my kids. I got 3 grown sons between 26 and 34, and I say to them often, and they still sometimes scratch their head, say a man becomes wise when he acknowledges what he doesn't know and seeks counsel. And I sort of live by that.
Yeah. That's a modest thing to say, because a lot of people don't think like that, and there's still so much for us to learn continuously throughout our lives. Sometimes we think we reach a certain peak or a certain success or a certain part of our life where we know it all, and that's just not the case. We're continuously learning, especially in different areas of our life.
I mean, don't get me wrong, and my wife will crucify me when I get outside for this, but I'm a huge fan of a committee of one. But the reality is that we can't do it all ourselves. We need we need help. We need other people to be able to do the
and
the
realizing that too is a big step in just growth, really, self-growth.
Yeah.
I want to turn to Georgetown East, so that's your constituency.
Mm-hmm.
And what in these past 4 years do you feel has not been accomplished for Georgetown East that perhaps was promised?
Well,
and the needs that you're hearing.
Yeah, I mean,
need to be met.
We've done the party as a whole have done about 1,500 surveys, and that's where we built our manifesto. We took one of the questions in those surveys was, what are the top 3 issues that you think the next government or the government needs to address?
Mm-hmm.
And we took 14 of those topics, and that's where we built our manifesto. If you go online, our manifesto, nationalparty.ky, manifesto at the top, and you will see the line items there that we've done. Specifically for Georgetown East, it's cost of living comes up top of in any district. Now, one of the things that I have seen in Georgetown East, and overall, we believe, the National Party believes that the average Caymanian is being left behind. and we're spending millions and hundreds of $1 on pet projects where our vulnerable are living in dire conditions. And one of the things that I have found as I canvass that I think is an important aspect is the flooding issue in the Georgetown Basin, and that extends from Halifax to Randike Gardens, and believe it or not, up to Belleair Drive. And I've been talking to some ex-government employees about the situation and how it is to address it. And I think it's something that that needs to be looked at, both in the short term and long term. Because as we build, we're building into the wetlands and the swamp that where all the water used to run to, and we're doing that without any consideration of the people that have built at 3 feet above sea level. Now planning is asking you to build 6 feet above sea level, and the water's running off. And we have to address that.
Right.
The government has to address that in some manner. Either you stop the building, or you put in a proper drainage, and then you got to deal with the Department of Environment because they don't want it dumped in the soil. I think it's one of those things that has to be done, because in some time, it's in one side of that there are people who really can't afford to redo their floors in their homes every time they get a flood, and it's going to end up being a government cost one way or the other. Either it's going to be a social services assistance, or we can get ourselves in gear and put something in place to reduce the flooding. Yeah, so I think that's the single biggest thing I see in Georgetown East. Traffic is always going to be a problem, but that's not isolated to Georgetown East. If you look at one thing that I've come away from my canvassing that people really need is to resolve something to do with resolve the flooding in the area there.
We got to wrap up. So if there's any, and that was quick, right? Very quick interview. If there's any final points that you want to leave.
Are you sure you've got the timing right on this?
Yes, because we started a little late, so I was giving you a few minutes extra with that. But if there's any final points you want to leave with people, if you're having any meetings, anything like that.
We're in the stretch run. I keep telling my running mates, I said, listen, we're in the 100-meter stretch. You can see the finish line. Put on your blinkers. Don't look to the left. Don't look to the right, or someone's going to pass you. So take that tonight. My only public meeting on my own is tonight, 6:30 p.m. at the junction of the Linford Pearson and the Randike Gardens. It's called Palm Gardens, a little park there. It's family friendly. We know that it's for kids are still out on vacation, so we put a bouncy castle in there. We've got popcorn. Bring the kids out. You'll be able to have them in the bouncy castle and still hear what's going on. The gates open at 6:30. Don't intend to be long. I don't believe in long-windedness. Want to start it at 7 and be closed up at 8, whether that's realistic or not, but that's the sort of time frame. And then we'll have other candidates from the Georgetown area in there, and we'll be around for a while for constituents to meet and chat. And 8 o'clock is when we'll finish the public thing, but we'll be around until the constituents leave. That's tonight, 6:30, off the Linford Pearson. And 2 more events I'd like to push. We're for you folks in the BRAC, we'll all be up there on Saturday evening for the BRAC rally, and then back in Cayman. Our final rally of the whole team will be at A.L. Thompson's on Monday the 28th, not the last night, but Monday the 28th at A.L. Thompson. The time I'm not sure, so I won't say it, but that's where it'll be. It'll be Monday night.
All right, no problem. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for your time, Kathy. It was a pleasure.
We're going to go to our commercial break now, a little late. When we come back, it's still more Cayman Islands National Party candidates to speak with.
The preceding was a paid political broadcast.
I'm Michael Webster.
And I'm Denise Brown of Cayman Insurance Center.
Family is not the most important thing, it's everything.
We have worked with the community and their families on protecting themselves for the future.
Whether it's providing top-rated life insurance
or protecting your family's household investment.
From our family to yours, we understand and we care.
I'm Denise Brown. Call me at 814-7229.
And I'm Michael Webster at 925-5433.
We are Cayman Insurance Center.
Specializing in property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services at an affordable rate. We are Michael and
Denise at Cayman Insurance Center.
Call today.
Hi, this is Donna Bush, PPM candidate for Savannah.
I'm Alba Saku, your PPM candidate for Newlands.
Join us on Thursday, April 24th on Edison Drive behind Country Corner for an important conversation about Cayman's future.
Come out and hear the issues that matter to you, the solutions we are ready to deliver. Cayman needs proven, stable leadership, and that's what the PPM is about.
Let's keep moving forward with the PPM.
We're moving forward. We're moving forward. We're moving forward. See the light again.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
Join us for a special referendum panel discussion this Thursday, 24th of April from 7 to 8:30 p.m. on Radio Cayman 89.9 FM and live on the Radio Cayman YouTube channel. Are you ready for the 2025 referendum? Get the facts you need and have your questions answered. Hear from government officials and key voices from our community. Don't miss this important conversation about your vote, your right, your future. Tune in, get informed, and make your voice count.
Social media, X, formerly Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Interact with our talk shows on YouTube. Download our official Radio Cayman app, or you can log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky. You can also add us to WhatsApp
on 925-3261.
All the latest information, breaking news, community events, and more. Radio Cayman.
The following is a paid political broadcast. The views, information, or opinions expressed in this forum are solely those of the participants of this event and do not represent the views of the management and staff of Radio Cayman.
We are back on the buzz, and I'm here with candidate for West Bay North with the Cayman Islands National Party, Mr. Jordan Rivers. Now, we had from the oldest candidate, as we had with Bud Johnson, that's what he said, to now the youngest candidate in the party. So good morning, Jordan. How are you doing?
Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm pretty good, thank you.
I am tired.
Yes.
Every day is a great day. It's been an exciting thing to be able to do this the whole time. But let me tell you, I am ready for April 1st. Sorry, April. Look at that.
May 1st, yes.
May 1st. I'm ready for May 1st to be here so I can get a little bit of rest, hopefully for 1 or 2 days. But other than that, it has been a very enjoyable experience.
I was going to say, please don't give us another month to go through this, because I know.
No, trust me. Well,
I need the rest.
If we get good, stable governance, we'll have a consistent government for 4 years. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yes.
I can tell you, in the 17 years that I've been working through elections and whatever not, and the experience I've gotten, the biggest difference has been from going to campaigning for someone else to representing yourself. And I can tell anybody that is it may seem like a small change, but when you're actually sitting there and having to talk about yourself and why you're the better option, it changes the whole realm of understanding for politics. So I'm very grateful for it, because at the end of this, I came into this genuinely seeking knowledge, and I think I've found a lot of that in this endeavor.
Excellent. I didn't know that you were on the campaign trail previously in helping to get people elected, and now you're one of those candidates that are up for election.
So I'll tell you.
What made you pivot into that?
Well, the funny part about that whole thing is that people naturally assume because of my age that I just don't have any experience. But I've been actively involved in politics in the background since 11 years old, when my father first ran, I think in 2007. So when they say experience counts, yeah, I've got 17 years of doing it. But we have helped numerous candidates throughout the years, the most recent being that in the last 4 years. So we started real heavily with Tara Tar Rivers back in the day, and then we pivoted and transitioned through as time went on to Andre Ebanks, Catherine Ebanks, Mario Ebanks, and we did Bernie Bush 4 years ago. So it's a bit interesting for me to be running in the same place that he was in 4 years ago.
Right, against his daughter.
Yeah,
that as well, right?
That on a 2025 bingo card, you never would have thought I would have seen that. So,
Absolutely.
but it's been interesting, and I've really enjoyed my time doing this. I will tell anybody it's not easy. It is exactly how you would expect it or what you would imagine it would be. So for those that are interested in getting involved in politics, I would suggest you start now, because it is a mountain to climb, and the more prepared you are, the easier that mountain is. Even with the amount of years that I've been doing it, I have still found a few growing pains throughout the whole process. But I got time. That's the beautiful part of this whole thing. Got years ahead of me, you know?
Now, for West Bay North, what have you heard from your constituents that need the changes need to be seen in West Bay North in particular? Things that maybe haven't been addressed in the past 4 years?
Attention to detail, to be honest with you. A little bit of TLC. Like, the biggest concern for persons inside of West Bay North, I guess I can only speak about that because we're not back to district voting quite yet, but they felt like they haven't had representation over the past 8 years, and that's been a very big part of my campaign trail with them, is explaining that, listen, I'm fully aware, because I've had to work in the background for so many years, that I've been able to see firsthand the desire for representation in the district, and that's what I'm trying to bring. It's just, I've told persons since the onset, it's not that I'm not capable of taking on a ministry. Everyone has their strong points and their strong suits. The problem that we have, especially with first time elected, is that once they get into government, that's a whole new learning curve, and then they look up and they have to deal with the ministry level and country level issues, that they forget the persons that actually got them elected in the first place. That's a really hard thing to juggle if you're a first timer. So I want to spend my first term, if possible, hopefully, just working with the people and servicing the people and showing them that you can have it both ways. You can have representation. So that's my main goal for being elected, is to be the people's real representative again.
Okay, I like this. Now, on a national issue, or level, I should say, on a national level, what would be the priorities that, along with the National Party, whoever would be elected from your party, would you hope to tackle first? Because there's so many different issues going on, but what would be the priority issues for you?
I'm
not just for you, for the
yeah,
people.
I was going to say, because for me, I can tell you, if it's for West Bay, as far as I'm concerned, is Barkers. That's the biggest thing for anybody. But on a national level, what we need to focus on a lot more is genuinely immigration. A lot of these problems spur from immigration, and we need to get a real serious grip on that, because once we get that under control, housing falls in line, job opportunities fall in line. And I think as a younger candidate in this whole thing, I'm trying to be the voice for the next generation, because I've seen in Parliament for decades now that there's a lot of good people in there, but none of them really understand the issues of the younger ones, because they're usually set in business, they're set in life, they're at a much more different stage. So I'm here to allow the next generation to have a seat at the table. So if we can get them to where not only government but also the private sector is taking them on, especially the ones that we want to put TVET courses into. We want to send we want to be able to have kids that go off to colleges, not just solely on government scholarships, but the fact that they have trained, they've worked hard, they've given their time and years, that they can come back and actually have job security. That's a big goal for me as an individual with the party, trying to work with them to create that avenue, because we've seen that a lot of these kids come back from college and there's no opportunities for them. I think opportunity is one of the biggest issues in Cayman, or rather the lack thereof. And I think for me that's a major national issue that I'm actively working with the party on trying to achieve.
Okay, I like this. Now, when you said that there's issues of the younger generation that you feel a lot of the politicians currently are not tuned into, you being, I think you said you were 28 years old?
28.
So you being
This year.
28. Okay, happy
Thank you.
birthday this year.
I'm pretty sure we'll talk before that happens.
Right? It could be in December for all I know. But anyway, you made me slip right there. When it comes to those issues for the younger generation, what are they? What are the priority issues for the younger generation?
Housing.
Okay.
And job opportunities.
Okay.
Those are the two main ones. Obviously, the cost of living falls into that because when you're starting out in your work life or your career for that, minimum wage being $6 for most persons don't help, and that is what you would classify as the starting pay for most unskilled labor, right? But even with the persons that go off and they get 4-year degrees, 8-year degrees, they're still not being paid what they're worth, and we need to change that dynamic. The fact of the matter is that we'll pay copious amounts of money on work permits for individuals that have this skill set, but yet we won't give our own homegrown product the opportunity to develop and succeed in that area. So those, I think housing, cost of living, and job opportunities are the 3 biggest issues for the next generation. But all that, you can really wrap it up into the nice package of opportunity. They need opportunities to do these things, and they're just not getting it.
Okay. You had also touched on Barcas a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So what is it about Barcas that if you were elected, that you could have influence, whether in preserving or developing? I'm not sure what your stance is on that.
We will be very careful
What
with
is
that
it?
word development and
Yes.
Barcas in the same sentence.
So
Right?
what's your perspective on Barcas?
That entire area needs to become a national park.
Okay.
It is long overdue. We have had successive governments use it like a political football, successive individuals, and I'm not going to pick on anyone outside of West Bay because that, as you would know with most West Bayers, our issues are our own, and we don't play on the country's level of politics. So we have seen successive politicians and governments over the years use it like a political football, and it's about time that comes to an end. There should be a handful of things that are not affected by whatever minister comes into government, and I think education's one of those things, and I think the environment's one of those things. We need to have guidelines for this stuff. If it was up to me, especially if we're talking back in the day, and if I had the authority to do so, that entire area would have been zoned as a national park, because we need to have our green space areas. Barcas historically is a very important and significant area to the people of West Bay, and that's, as far as personal goals go, that is probably the biggest personal goal I have. And I'm not saying that I'm going to be an individual that doesn't get a lot done. What I am saying is that if I manage, and we know how the pace of government works in 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
4 years goes fast, but government goes slow. If I can get that done in my first term, to where that is either a mentioned national park, or it is internationally recognized as such and has all the covenances on it,
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy with that. I already have success in my life once that's done.
Okay. Thank you for sharing everything that you've shared with us so far this morning. I know it had to be a quick interview. You have a final maybe 30 seconds or so if you have a meeting happening or anything else you want to let our people know about.
If you give me 2 seconds, I'll pull up that meeting right now. So I know that tonight is going to be at 239 Captain Reginald Parsons Drive. That's right there in West Bay on the road adjacent to Conch Point Villas. Give me 1 second here.
It's 239 Captain Reginald Drive.
Yeah. Reginald Parsons Drive.
Reginald Parsons Drive, my bad. And that's at, sorry, what time?
That's going to be starting for 7 o'clock.
7 p.m.
Yeah, so that's tonight. Captain Reginald Parsons Drive, 239. I'll have someone indicating for the signs and stuff for that. Tomorrow I'll be right there near Cobalt Coast on a road called Topsail Street. That'll be starting at 7 as well. On Monday, here now, we'll be having the Cayman Islands National Party finale rally. That'll be done at the A.L. Thompson's parking lot. And I'll have my finale on the 29th on Andresen. So that's right there near Cobalt Coast as well.
All right. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Jordan, for joining us this morning. Best of luck in this final little stretch right here that's happening. And we got to go to a quick commercial break and then have another chat with another Cayman Islands National Party member.
Thank you so much
Craig
for
Merren.
having me.
No problem. Thank you.
Take care.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
Big decisions need real data. Before we vote on April 30th, we deserve to know the full picture.
When cruise passengers spend money, who really benefits? Cruise lines keep up to 70% of passenger spending through onboard shopping, cruise-owned tours, and exclusive port deals. That means less money for Cayman's local businesses, tour operators, and workers. A cruise berthing facility doesn't change that. It only strengthens the cruise line's control while Cayman carries the cost. Let's keep our economy working for us. Vote no on April 30th.
Cayman's tourism should serve Caymanians first. Vote no to cruise berthing infrastructure.
The following is a paid political broadcast. The views, information, or opinions expressed in this forum are solely those of the participants of this event and do not represent the views of the management and staff of Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to The Buzz. I am your host, Kathy Miller, and someone's mic wasn't down, but so it goes at times. I am welcoming in studio. We're having our quick candidates corner happening this morning, and we have from the Cayman Islands National Party, we have Mr. Craig Merren for Georgetown West, which is the area that I live in, Craig. So the fire is going to be on you today.
Oh yeah, it's on. It's been a very intense last 2 weeks. We're down to the last end of the line. But first of all, I want to thank you for inviting me on this morning, and the rest of my colleague. I want to say good morning to the Greater Cayman Islands public, especially to the Georgetown West constituencies, and thank you. And I hope all had a wonderful Easter. And to some, we had a tragedy and a bike accident, and I want to acknowledge to the family that my deepest condolences to them, and loss of an avid a cyclist, an accident on Monday, and the cycling association as well as the cycling community and the whole Cayman Islands is really saddened to hear this, with the amount of continuous accidents on the road with cyclists. And it's something that always been a problem here, even from our days that we didn't have as much traffic as it was in, but it's always a problem for cyclists on roads, and it certainly need to be now really some serious laws put in place and alternatives advocating for the safety of the cyclists on the road, as well as pedestrians, the runners. That's not cyclists, but they always seem to be the target. I mean, that's why we got early in the morning. Mr. Connell will tell you that. You get out at 5:30. Now, it was a time when 5:30 or 5 o'clock were dead in Cayman. Now it's so busy at 5 o'clock, so some guys push back and go like 2 o'clock, 2:30. When is it safe to ride on our roads? So, anyhow, it's a sad ending for Easter that no one didn't want to imagine or even think about in here, and it's.
But as a cyclist, it touches you as well.
It does. So. I mean, I've seen this happen for many years here and overseas. I've had friends that got knocked down. I had some top good friends I met in the 80s in Dominican Republic that died on the same thing. There was national riders actually. So this one touches home, because one of the Georgetown West past constituencies, Mr. George, that was her granddaughter's husband, and it really has broken the hearts of the Cayman community.
Yeah, understandably, it has our condolences
to the family.
Yeah, absolutely. I have to completely pivot from that.
That's fine.
So,
I'm
looking at the time here, but I have to pivot from that and go to your candidacy really for Georgetown West. And I know you had a meeting last night in Windsor Park. I mean, I see you in my neighborhood, so I have to say that I'm happy to see action in my neighborhood coming from you.
Yeah.
Great to see.
Yeah, thank you. We've hitting the last areas in Georgetown West, mainly meeting a lot of families and individuals with their concerns. And that is continue on as I speak now with my team of canvassers out there. So I have a list of right here people to see and call. Even if it's for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15. Some take long. It all depends. But they want to see, they want to hear, they want to see you. They want to share their concern personally. Not everyone that come out to meetings now. They want that personal
experience
with you. It's more connected. It's more connected, and that's the proper way to do it. Actually, you know what I mean. That was done in the old way. It's like the old ways is coming back, and Cayman Islands like that. They love that embracement. And, I am so happy that they have embraced me in their homes over the last couple of months to hear the many concerns that they face today in Cayman. But letting them know that change is around the corner in the next weeks. Voting for number 3, Craig T. Merren in Georgetown West. And the rest of the Cayman Islands National Party across the spectrum in the Cayman Islands. This actually will be the most important election since the discovery of these islands in 1503.
Okay, that's a loaded statement.
It
Why
is
do you
a
say
loaded
that?
statement. If you think about it, where are we at today? Yeah. So we want to embrace all, give people unity, prosperity, and hope. And that's what the Cayman National Party is all about. And
stability.
And stability, yes, and opportunities.
That's a big one.
I mean, my brother Perro was telling me a couple of days ago, and he really don't get much into politics when he can, and I saw the pain in his heart when he said, Perro could be rough around his ages, right? But he said, Craig, man, this takes me back in the reservations of in America when the New World, sorry the name, but we know that's not so, discovered America. And the Indians was put on these reservations, and and he said it's like that. He said we're doing so well, but look at where we at. He said even me and my business, I'm struggling. What is happening? And but people can make that change in the next 6 days.
When it comes to your constituents for Georgetown West, what are you hearing are their primary concerns and needs that have not been met over the past few years?
Well, it's a big one. We all know this throughout the island is cost of living, crime, especially in part of Windsor Park, in that area.
Crime is huge in Georgetown West.
Yes, and flooding, and of course job opportunities. So the Cayman National Party got all this laid out in our manifesto that just launched, and we have a mandate to make sure that the needs are met for the people of this country across the board, as well as Georgetown West. We're looking at a system that is very dear to me in terms of transportation. I have a plan for that I looked at over the years. I got some friends that live in the UK that gave me some ideas what we could do, implement for Cayman, and it could work, as well as the flooding issues that we face yearly.
Okay. Now, cost of living to me is a bit of a bigger phrase that's being thrown out there as if it could just be solved. Like, we're going to solve the cost of living. And I'm kind of worried about that because the way I see with the tariff wars that are going on globally and how we're so impacted by that. So we are going to be impacted by all the tariff implementations in the United States.
Yes.
So is it something that we can actually bring down, or do you think we have to brace for it, and how would we brace for that the best?
Well, partially brace for it, but our plan is to also look on the revenue streams and see where we could apply duties on certain things, especially certain food items across the spectrum, and for supermarkets to adhere to. As well as looking at other opportunities within the Caribbean basin in Central America, where we could negotiate trade with certain foods and stuff out of Mexico, Colombia, Honduras, or Nicaragua, or even our neighboring in the Caribbean, neighboring islands, Jamaica, as well as for materials, and don't estimate them in Cuba as well.
Yes.
So. There will have to be some sort of, these are the different models that we will have to look at and attack, and see what we could accomplish for the Cayman Islands and build those relationships.
Right.
Sort of trade, sort of like,
And a little bit of the logistics that has to also change in order for those things to happen.
And that will take time, but I think the first step, we would look on lowering the duties on certain food items. And, of course, internal at the same time, looking at where we can grow our own foods, looking at farmland, where we could expand in that. So we have some things in the pipeline.
Okay.
Yeah.
We got about a minute left, so I know the time went quick.
Yeah, man.
I said it was going to be a short one.
I gonna have to pay. I gotta pay for our next one. No, just kidding.
Our next candidate won't be happy to hear that. So you got less than a minute left. So if there's any kind of wrap up final notes you want to leave with people, if you're having any other meetings in the next few days, let us know.
Yes, we have our Cayman Brac and Little Cayman rally on Saturday. I'll be up in the Brac on Saturday morning along with the rest of the Cayman Islands National Party. We return on Sunday. Monday we have our Grand Cayman final rally at the A.L. Thompson parking lot. We got more time, more info will follow on that time schedule. I think around 6:37, and then on Tuesday, the Georgetown West, Georgetown South, and maybe Georgetown Central will have something on Walker's Road at Melmac Avenue, corner of Walker's Road, and Melmac Avenue at Mr. Keller Thompson Yard. But that is pending, but we're looking to have something there as well.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Wonderful. Thank you for joining us this morning on The Buzz. Happy to have you here. I've got to go to the slightly after 9 a.m. headline news, and then after that, I'm going to have a next candidate interview.
Well, thank you for having me.
No problem.
Covering Little Cayman, Cayman Bride. Cover me.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
The preceding was a paid political broadcast.
From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines. Local, regional, international news.
The headline news is brought to you by Kirk Market and Health Services Authority.
Another local preschool nets a weak rating by inspectors with the Office of Education Standards. This is Sister Janice's preschool's first weak judgment after getting back-to-back satisfactory ratings in 2020 and 2023. You can find the full report online at oas.gov.ky. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky says, quote, more pressure must be applied on Russia to achieve a ceasefire between the two countries. His comments come after overnight Russian missiles and drone attacks on Kyiv killed at least 8 people, injuring another 77, the deadliest strikes on Ukraine's capital since July. Zelensky said, quote, last night's attack was undoubtedly one of the most difficult and impudent while on a trip to South Africa, which has been cut short due to the strikes. Late Wednesday night, U.S. President Donald Trump criticized Zelensky for saying Ukraine would not recognize Russian control of Crimea, a key contention in the U.S.'s bid to secure peace in Ukraine. Trump said, quote, the statement made by Zelensky will do nothing but prolong the killing field, while Vice President J.D. Vance warned the U.S. will, quote, walk away from its deal-making role if Russia and Ukraine fail to come to an agreement. Those are your headlines. I'm Carsley Fuller.
More news available at www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
Do you have a healthcare question but not sure who to ask? Contact HSA's Patient Call Center to speak to one of our experienced clinical team members. We are here to answer your questions and help guide you through your healthcare journey. Need to make an appointment? Our team can help. Contact HSA at 949-8600 or email info@hsa.ky. At HSA, we are committed to caring for you.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
The following is a paid political broadcast. The views, information, or opinions expressed in this forum are solely those of the participants of this event and do not represent the views of the management and staff of Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to The Buzz. I'm your host, Kathy Miller, and we are continuing with our Candidates Corner interviews. And for Red Bay, I have independent candidate Leon Gould. Good morning.
Good morning, Kathy, and thank you for having me.
No problem at all. It's good to have you here.
Thank you.
Now, independent candidate, you're also one of the, as I like to say, one of the younger candidates that are running this election. What has motivated you to run and go independent as well?
Well, actually, I'm the youngest candidate running in Red Bay. I chose to be independent for a few different reasons. One of them being I've seen where the parties are being funded by special interest groups, and obviously they'll owe them favors at the end of this. So I chose to remain as an independent, to be an independent voice for my people in Red Bay. That's not to say that I won't be willing to work with other individuals, because we do need collaboration. And we do need a mature group of individuals that are working or are willing to collaborate and put their egos aside, as I've said in the past. So my motivation for running in Red Bay is that we've lacked representation in the past 8 years. We've had zero representation. Our MP has been completely missing. So I want to be that change, and I want to, be that representative, be there. And I've already been there. I've been there 40 years. I've already been in the community doing stuff, getting stuff. Getting changes made and enhancing the community.
Can you give us some examples?
Well, an example is post-Ivan, I assisted many families with restoring power to their homes and assisted with post-Ivan cleanups in the community. That was just one of the examples. And recent times, for the past 8 years, I've been an active member and a founding member of the Red Bay District Committee. So I've been heavily involved with the community, doing work on the ground, initiating community rejuvenation projects, that type of stuff. Listening to the residents' concerns and trying to find solutions to those issues. So I've already been on the ground working. I can imagine on May 1st, when I'm elected, hopefully I am, that I will hit the ground running and continue with my efforts to enhance Red Bay. In terms of flooding and traffic is a big problem for us as well. So those are some of the issues that I want to tackle, but I've already been there. A lot of the other candidates that are running for Red Bay, we've never seen them in Red Bay. I've walked every street between Red Bay and Prospect over my 40 years and living there. I know every corner in that neighborhood. The people know me, and I know them as well. So I'm not new to Red Bay like the majority of the rest of candidates coming from West Bay and the Bracken stuff. I am a genuine hardcore Red Bay, grassroots Red Bay, and I want to continue my work, but I'll continue it on another level once I have the resources after being elected on May 1st.
Okay. Now, Red Bay, I know I always ask this question. So what are the biggest issues that you're hearing from your constituents that haven't been addressed? Because you said your MP's been missing for the past 4 years. So
8 years.
8 years.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming there's quite a lot of things that haven't been met that your constituents would like to see.
Definitely. We need to see proper drainage using swales, not the deep wells that our MPs have been putting in the past. We need to see swales which channels the water back out to the ocean, and not just using the deep wells. They don't work. That's one of the main issues.
I don't even know what a swale is, so now I'm going to have to go to Google and look at this.
It's like a dike.
Okay.
So you have a dike that will create channels that will funnel the water into these dikes. Some of the dikes are already there. We just need to create the systems that allow the water to flow into them, that will allow them to seep back into the water ocean.
Okay.
That will prevent flooding in a lot of these areas. The deep well system does not work, and they're very expensive. So we need to quit wasting money on deep wells and implement channel systems that allow the water to flow back out to the ocean naturally. That's one of the main issues in regard to flooding. Traffic, the Bimini Selkirk Drive connector, we've been promised that over 8 years, and it hasn't opened yet. We need someone in Parliament to advocate for us in Red Bay, and I will be that voice.
Okay. Now, when it comes to national issues, and we know that also there's a lot of national issues that are out there, what would be your biggest priorities to tackle should you be elected?
Well, immigration, as you know, everybody's talking about. That's a large issue that we need to tackle, and some of the parties that are forming have no interest in tackling immigration. I think immigration is a national issue we should focus on, as well as the landfill. Those are issues, and then 7 Mile Beach erosion is another problem we have to focus on as well. Very important to tackle those issues. Our tourism product is at stake, and the dump has something to do with our tourism as well. I mean, you drive down the bypass there, and you can smell the trash. It has to be toxic and harmful to you to be inhaling that stuff. So I think we need to focus on the landfill, immigration, and 7 Mile Beach erosion is some of the top issues for me. And then immigration will help with the cost of living if we can get some enforcement done, because we do have some strong and good immigration policies in place, but there has been a lack of enforcement over the years, and that's where we fall short.
That was something that was said this morning, so you echo a statement by another candidate that was made earlier, that enforcement's a bit of an issue. And I agree with that. Yeah. I agree with the enforcement. To me, seems to be a bit of an issue. And that's where some revenue could be made as well.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. So that's some of the national issues, I think. And then obviously education. We need some cultural education back in our school system to get our kids, let them remember who they are, where they come from. Because we have so many different nationalities here influencing our kids coming up. They tend to forget where they come from, and they're shifting their cultural norms, and we need to get that back in our curriculum to get the kids remembering their past and where they really come from, so they can know where they're going. Because if you don't remember your past, you won't know where you're going. Even
for children growing up here that may not be Caymanian, but their parents moved here, and they could have been born here, but they're still not considered Caymanian, and they're growing up within the school system. It's a bit of a segregation. There's a different school that they go to, right? They're not allowed to go to the public schools. So to me, there's a really big opportunity that's missed in being able to educate everybody about the culture in Cayman.
Yes, I think one of the ways we can tackle that is by allowing them to come into the public school systems and charging them a fee. The government's education system can make some revenue from that, and also it will help them to assimilate into our population.
Yes.
And it would help our Caymanians to assimilate into their culture as well, because it goes both ways.
Right.
So I think we need to look at allowing them to come into our government school systems and charge them a fee, make some money. The private schools are charging ridiculous amounts of money as it is. So if we allow them to come in, then we can get revenue, as I said, and help with assimilation.
And stop the segregation that's going on.
And stop the segregation.
Which that kind of thing, that divide is learned.
Yes.
So
yes.
It's important if we can stop it and teach people a different way of thinking from a younger age. Very, very important.
Yes.
We're gonna have to wrap up in a couple of minutes.
That's fine.
But before we go there, you did touch on education, and as being you're the youngest candidate in Red Bay, and to me still one of the younger candidates that is part of this general elections.
Yes.
When we look at the different emerging industries that are happening in the Cayman Islands and the job opportunities there, perhaps the training or lack of training that might be in those emerging industries, are there areas that you think Cayman should focus on, whether it comes to vocational training, as it has to do with emerging industries? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, we need to focus on vocational training. STEM research is a big thing growing.
Yeah.
I recently went to one of the primary schools. They had a science fair, and STEM was, they had a lot of highlighting of STEM projects and stuff. So STEM, vocational, and also we need to start looking at technology, such as AI and crypto and stuff like that, and getting our kids learning these stuff from an early age, because this is the way forward, whether we want to believe it or not. AI is the future, and crypto is the future. So we have to get our kids involved with that, and STEM. And, people have been talking about trade school for a long time. But I think we need to incentivize the trade schools that the younger generation actually want to do that, because now they're shifting away. They don't want to get hands-on work done. They don't want to get dirty anymore. They want to be behind a computer screen or a device. So we need to incentivize it for them that they would want to be a plumber or a carpenter or an electrician, because these are well-paying jobs.
Yeah.
And they're in very high demand at the moment. So those are some of the things I think we can focus on in regard to education.
Okay, all right, no problem. Now, got maybe about a minute left, so if there's any final points you want to leave with our listeners, any meetings, let us know.
I'm not having any more meetings up until the election. I'm just doing canvassing, meeting my constituents and listening to their concerns. Give me a chance and I will make you proud. The people that are coming forward now have parachuted into Red Bay from only God knows where. I've been there for 40 years. I've already been doing the work. Allow me to continue, and I will make you proud. I promise you that, Red Bay.
All right. Thank you so much, Leon Gould, independent candidate for Red Bay. If people want to learn more about you, social medias, anything like that, how can they get in touch?
Social media, you can find me on Facebook, Leon Gould Official, Instagram as well. I'm there. My phone number is 917-9257. You can give me a call, send me a WhatsApp. I'm available all the time. And I'll be canvassing straight up until the 29th. So reach out to me. I'm arranging meetings with people at their homes to listen to their concerns. You can find me on social media or WhatsApp 917-9257.
All right, you're reachable. All right, thank you so much, Leon, for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me,
No
and
problem.
to the Radio Cayman listeners out there, the best listeners on the island.
I mean, I have to agree. Definitely. We've got to go to our next commercial break and then our final candidate interview for this morning.
Leon Gould, you can be the one for the people. Leon Gould, vote number 2. Leon is the one for you. Leon is the one for you. I said Leon is the one for you. So vote number 2. Graham said, I've heard up there the streets are made of gold. Leon Gould. And when you get there, there's a hand to hold. Cayman, I believe, when your days down here all through, yeah, there's a place up there for people like you. Do the right thing. I know you're out there, so keep doing what you do. Cayman, there's a place up there for people like you.
The preceding was a paid political broadcast.
Hey Cayman parents, we get it. You're underslept, over-trafficked. You can barely find your sanity in the morning because you're still trying to find your kids' shoes and lunch boxes. Let Yum take some of the stress away. Every day, over 3,000 students enjoy delicious, nutritious meals from Yum. Over 5 million lunches served and counting. Private school parents? Browse the Yum Cayman app and order up to a month in advance or last minute by 12 a.m. the night before. Government school students? Just drop by the Yum canteen. No pre-orders needed. Yum can't help you find your sanity, but we can sure make your mornings just a bit easier. Check out daily menus at myschoolpos.com or visit yumcayman.ky to learn more.
The following is a paid political announcement by the Caymanian Community Party.
The PPM had their turn. What did we get? Exploding population, soaring cost of living, secret deals, and unfair immigration system. You're scraping by while they help their friends cash in. You tighten your belt while they blow money on vanity projects. Enough is enough. The Caymanian Community Party is different. We will make sure Caymanians have an opportunity in our own country. No side deals, no shady alliances. On April 30th, vote TCCP for a stronger, fairer Cayman.
That was a paid political message by the Caymanian Community Party.
Big decisions need real data. Before we vote on April 30th, we deserve to know the full picture.
Cayman's cruise industry is already strong. With over 1 million passengers a year, we are ranked 6th in the region. But as cruise lines push passengers to spend on board, local businesses earn less from every visitor. A cruise pier doesn't fix that. It just gives cruise corporations more control while Cayman carries the cost. We have to ask ourselves, what else do the cruise lines and developers want from us? Instead of spending hundreds of millions, let's invest in solutions that benefit our people first. Vote no on April 30th.
Cayman's tourism should work for Caymanians, not cruise corporations. Save our Cayman. Vote no to cruise berthing infrastructure.
Can you tell me what does a turtle do on his birthday? He celebrates! Celebrate your loved one's special birthday with a birthday shout-out live on For the Record with Mr. Oret Connor, only on Radio Cayman. WhatsApp your loved one's name to 925-3261. That's 925-3261. Radio Cayman's birthday shout-outs live on For the Record with Mr. Oret Connor every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Brought to you by Coca-Cola. Available across the Cayman Islands. From Tortuga Wholesalers. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. And by Yum. Daily school menus are available. YumCayman.ky.
The following is a paid political broadcast. The views, information, or opinions expressed in this forum are solely those of the participants of this event and do not represent the views of the management and staff of Radio Cayman.
Oh, good morning. Welcome back to The Buzz. I am your host, Kathy Miller, and in studio with me, it's my final candidate interview for this morning, and it is with Mr. Oscar Bodden, who's an independent candidate for Georgetown East. Good morning, Oscar. How are you doing?
Good morning, Kathy. Good morning, Cayman, the listening public. Good morning, Georgetown East.
I feel like I've gotten to know you slightly over these past couple months because we've been in touch from debates and whatnot. Yes. So it's good to have you back in our studios this morning.
Thank you. Feel good to be back.
It is great to have you back. And so Georgetown's my area, but Georgetown West is really my constituency. So that's where I'm at. Yeah. But to go to Georgetown East, well, first I want to know even what motivated you to run in these general elections.
Well, honestly, Georgetown East almost been like a constituent completely forgotten. We have not had one single major, even minor change or development in Georgetown East. Right now we're lacking parks. Our airport park, that is a public park for everybody, that's obviously hijacked. If you go there in the night, you can hardly find space to even stand up. I mean, it's taken over. We need parks for our young kids. We need assistance for our seniors. We really don't have any assistance for our seniors at all in Georgetown East. It's the list goes on and on with Georgetown East. We have flooding in certain areas that haven't really been addressed, but now we've seen a way where that can be addressed, and hopefully, with God's willing, I will make it and I will be elected your MP for Georgetown East, and we will get some of these things remedied out.
Okay. So it's because you haven't really seen anything happen in Georgetown East that has motivated you to run.
Well, that is one thing. And also, I mean, this has also been something that been in my blood for years. I mean, even I think from even in school days, it always been with me. One of these days I'm going to run because I don't know, from a very early age, it was so much things changing. And then it came like, several years I didn't really think about it as hard, but I still went out and I voted, hoping that would have made a difference. But as I can see, it never made a difference. I mean, I hear one particular party harping about experience, but they started with no experience. They gained the experience and then left us into a big hole. So I don't know where they were talking about with experience, unless they're talking about experience in digging a grave. I mean, that I see.
Okay. Now, you are independent, so you didn't join any party.
I didn't join, but I am willing to work with any government that's elected. I'm more than happy to give my services, but I want something for Georgetown East. I want something that we can bring to the table, not only for Georgetown East, but the whole Cayman Islands on a whole. But in particular, Georgetown East, since we've been a constituent forgotten, we need something that we could make our people proud in that area.
Why did you decide that you were going to stay independent? Because it's, especially with what did happen in the past 4 years, when the PAC government was formed.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a bit of, I feel like a lot of people that were independent decided, okay, let me team up with a party again.
Yeah.
So what made you say, no, I'm going to stick with being independent?
Well, honestly, the two new parties, I don't see eye to eye with a lot of their beliefs. I mean, I could elaborate on some of it, but, one of them, I mean, I don't agree with everything going from government entities into private entities. I don't agree with that. The other party, well, they have some views that I certainly are not aligned with. I don't have a problem with anybody, but, at the same time, I don't like things forced on me that is not really my beliefs. I am a God-fearing person, and I try to stick with that as much as I can. And now with the last party, or the older party, obviously, I've seen some things over the years that they've done that I certainly don't agree with. And I mean, this one I can just label right out straight off, and it's to do with the new hotel on West Bay Road. That land that hotel is on was negotiated by the Honorable McKeever Bush to be a campsite for Caymanians on 7 Mile Beach. That land was signed over. I don't know how it happened, when it happened. I never heard anything about money being passed. I don't know of any land swap. Never read anything on it. I don't know if it's still in the works. I don't know if it's already been, a popcorn deal that they decided to just work on under the table. Mm-hmm. But I think that needs to be open. A FOI should be done on it so that we could have final disclosure on how that happened.
Okay. It's an interesting point that you brought up, because I feel like I haven't heard anything about that either. So
yeah, I
it's a
mean,
good one.
It's like swept under the table, and they're hoping that everybody would forget about it. But this happened under their regime. This happened under the PPM regime. I mean, like it or not, it happened, and I think it happened maybe 8 years ago. No, sorry, longer than that. Almost 12 years ago.
Okay. I want to turn towards your experience, your professional experience so far. If you can tell us a little bit about your experience, because I know there's some board experience there, and how this would translate into governance if you were to be elected.
Well, for one, the one that really hit home was the last board that I was on. That was the business staffing plan. And what I have seen there was major injustice. We have mechanisms in place that's supposed to help Caymanian kids get a further education. This not only would translate into academics, we could do vocational schools with it, we could do all sorts of different trade schools, we could do different types of scholarships, athletic scholarships, we could do pageant scholarships, we could, if a person wants to be an electrician, they could be trained properly to be an electrician, get certified. If they want to be a carpenter, let's get that going. If they want to be a plumber, let's get it moving. But it is so much injustice done on that level. I don't know if the broader Caymanian is aware, but those BSPs do require to give scholarships and apprenticeships. Maybe they're not aware. So a lot of Caymanians that cannot afford to go to a higher education don't know that I could probably apply and let's see if this company has a business staffing plan that they could offer me a partial scholarship or a full scholarship. They don't know. This is something that needs to be publicized. Even if we got to create a committee that reviews, I'm sure work in a few keystrokes, because it's not rocket science where they can do a few keystrokes. They could create a spreadsheet and say, okay, these are the ones that are due this month. We have a committee set up. That committee then would initiate them to send out letters, just reminding them how they're going to send the money. And I don't believe that work or government should be responsible for collecting that money. I do believe that should be separate. Person can get enrolled in a college or a school or sign up for a trade school, whatever they want to do. And then they could present that case. We could then look forward to paying that fee for that young Caymanian to get that higher education, to get certified, get somewhere in life. These jobs are good paying jobs as well too. Not everybody's going to be a lawyer, a doctor, or an accountant. It's all different types of jobs out there.
I do have one question that came in from a listener, and it's a bit of a long-winded question, so I'm going to kind of cut it down a little bit. But and then we only got a couple minutes left, really. So we got to preface by saying that. How can we provide 60% Caymanian workers on the job site if the government is not providing the trade schools that are needed to do this? By having a trade school in Bodden Town and in Georgetown, that those in the eastern districts and those in the western districts are able to attend. So my question is, what do you think about having these trade schools?
That's a very good question. It's a very good idea. That is where this BSP comes in, where we would collect that money, would be able to fund these trade schools in Georgetown, Bodden Town. If smaller ones need to be set up in the West Bay district or the East End district, so that we could encompass Northside as well, then that money would also go to help fund that. I don't know if you guys, anybody can go and Google on their phone. They can look right now and they could see. And the date is February 13th, 2025. It was $250,000 that UCCI said that they got collected from private entities for scholarships. Now, trust me, that money didn't just fall out of the sky. So if I am telling you that in the space of 6 weeks, we could accumulate that amount of funds, imagine 1 year what we can do. And imagine how many Caymanians that could help.
All right. Now you got about a minute left.
Sure.
Thank you for answering that question because that came in via WhatsApp. You got about a minute left. So if there's any final notes you want to leave with our listeners, any meetings you might be having, now's the time to do so.
Well, we were actually planning on having a meeting on Saturday, but the time constraints, and I didn't get to talk to the owner of the property, so I think we might have to push that one away. But come April 30th, number 1 on your ballot for Georgetown East, Oscar Bodden. Also, we plan to stream the voting results live at F&J Center. I'm actually thinking about putting a projector outside and streaming it on the wall so that if anybody wants to come, they can come and watch and see the results as it happens live.
If people want to find out more information about you, how do they do so?
We're on Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp. All QR codes are there. You could scan into the QR codes and it would lead you directly to us. Also, you could call us on area code 345-327-3732, or you could call 345-324-8864.
All right.
And you could reach out to me anytime. I'm more than happy to talk to anybody. And I also feel comfortable talking. When I talk to somebody, I'm also talking from my heart, not talking just to hear myself talk.
I know there's so much more we could touch on, especially I wanted to ask you questions about the affordable housing because I know that you were also right on the board there as well. So it's so many things to touch on with you, but we are out of time. We did go a little bit over time because of, what was going on. So thank you to all our listeners for hanging out with us on The Buzz this morning and for all our candidates for coming in. And that's about it. So I have one more Buzz show before Election Day, and I'm going to leave you with to have a very happy Thursday, which is also Friday Eve in my eyes, and have a great weekend ahead of you.
The preceding was a paid political broadcast.
The Buzz is proudly sponsored by Cayman Insurance Center, specializing in property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services. And Kirk Market. Experience a world of choice. And by Yum. Daily school lunch menus are available to browse on the Yum website. Just visit yumcayman.ky for more.